Moving on to the other big story this morning, there is no end in sight to the war in West Asia. The conflict has now entered its second week and the rhetoric is only getting sharper. Bombing continues, not just in Iran or Israel, but across the Gulf. And now US President Donald Trump has raised the stakes even higher. Speaking aboard Air Force One, Trump has made three big claims about the war against Iran. First, he says American and Israeli airstrikes have wiped out Iran's military capabilities. That's a big claim. Secondly, he claims Iran's navy is now at the bottom of the sea and its air force is completely destroyed and its missiles and drone networks are severely damaged. And third, Trump has said, and in fact he's laid down a clear ultimatum for Tehran. He's saying only an unconditional surrender will now do and nothing else. According to the US president, surrender will mean Iran must cry uncle, his words not mine, or be left with no military capability to fight at all. Trump also launched a scathing attack on the Iranian regime, calling it the most evil people on earth, and saying that the war was 47 years in the making. He said that when this war ends, the world will be a much safer place. Listen in.
We're winning the war by a lot. We've decimated their whole evil empire. It'll continue, I'm sure, for a little while. But very proud of the people, the parents. The parents were so proud of their boy, as they call him, my boy, in case the young lady. The parents are so proud. Many of them are military parents, as you know. So but it's always a very sad thing. The war itself is going unbelievably. It's as good as it can be.
My guest this evening, Brahma Chalani, is a strategic affairs expert joining us on the broadcast. Neeraj Sharma is a geopolitical analyst joining us on the broadcast as well. Mr. Chalani, to you first. We've just heard from the US president. We heard from him a little while ago. What do you make of what he's saying? Is this just bluster and nothing else? It stands to logic that if the entire Iranian military had been wiped out, as he's claiming, well, the counter-strikes would have stopped, but they haven't.
In fact, the point that you make underscores the fact that Trump is on the defensive. Just a couple of days ago, he publicly acknowledged that he was surprised by the scale of the Iranian reprisals. The very fact that the president admitted that goes to show that his calculations in launching this war against Iran have gone completely wrong. In fact, he's making one core strategic miscalculation by escalating bombing campaign against Iran. For example, his administration has just now, yesterday, agreed to transfer $660 million worth of new bombs to Israel. So while the US itself is conducting an escalating bombing campaign, it's encouraging Israel to also wreak havoc on Iran. And yet Iran is far from capitulating. It is actually striking back quite vigorously. Because, you know, if you look at the Western media coverage, it's constrained by the fact that the Western states, especially the US and Israel, have imposed a military censorship on reporting on Iranian hits on sensitive installations. So there is no news about what Iran is hitting in Israel or in the Gulf states. The Gulf states have their own ban on reporting. So what we are getting is the sanitized version of what Iran is doing, and also we are not getting the full scale of the destruction Israel and the US are wrecking on Iran. But I think the strategic miscalculation is this. The US is assuming that sufficient military escalation will force Iran into collapse or capitulation. But history suggests a different pattern. When nations with strong ideological cohesion and large populations are attacked from outside, they really collapse quickly. More often they adapt, they absorb the damage, and they fight on. This is why wars that begin with promises of quick, decisive victory, from Vietnam to Iraq to Afghanistan, often end in longer, more complicated struggles. And you know, Trump expected the regime in Tehran to collapse. after decapitation. Now, 9 days later, what we are seeing is escalation.
You know, the same questions were being asked when the Russia-Ukraine war had broken out, sir, and the Ukrainians have now lasted for 4 years. So you don't respect any self-respecting country to say, sorry, daddy, and surrender completely. Iran is certainly not going to do that if that is what President Trump thinks. But give me a moment here. There is some breaking news coming in. The US and Israel may have discussed sending special forces into Iran to secure its stockpile of highly enriched uranium at a later stage of the war. This, according to reports that are now being circulated. This matters because preventing Iran from ever obtaining a nuclear weapon is one of President Trump's stated war objectives. The regime's some 450 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium convertible to weapons grade within weeks is one key to that total goal. Neeraj Sharma, just come in here. There's been a lot of talk about boots on the ground, American boots on the ground, not Israeli boots on the ground. Do you think that is likely to happen? And at what point? What makes the Americans so confident that they can actually send in troops, special forces, to seize Iran's nuclear stockpile?
I think we are now entering the stage 2 of the war, where we are now looking at the nuclear armaments to now be contained. Because if President Trump's claim comes to be true that Iran is left with no more arson and no more weapons, then this is the last resort that Iran might be looking at. And this is going to be catastrophic for not just Iran or the UAE, but most of the world. Because if you see Lebanon, Jordan, Azerbaijan, they've all been now engulfed in this war. They've all been roped in. And as we speak, there are attacks on the ground happening by Iran. So, like we rightly said, that if President Trump is saying that Iran is now to the ground, I don't think that's the real side of the story. And also, like you rightly said, that no nation will say, Uncle, I'm sorry. So I think it's a matter of time, and it's the right thing to do to contain not just Iran, but other countries who are trying to get involved in this war, to stop using the nuclear weapons.
Okay, give me a minute here, because there's some more additional information coming to the pertaining to the story we are breaking right now. It seems the US administration has discussed 2 options. One is removing the material from Iran entirely, or number 2, bringing in nuclear experts to dilute it on site. Now, this mission would likely involve special operators, of course, alongside scientists, probably from the International Atomic Energy Agency. So we'll just wait and watch how that plays out. For the moment, gentlemen, give me a moment here. I'm slipping into a quick break. More news and updates continue to stay with us.